Past the conference room door, the
You
fluorescent
need to
lights of
see this.
Meridian Tech's executive
What happened to
floor
you?
cast harsh shadows across the empty hallway as Marcus Chen balanced his daughter's forgotten lunchbox in one hand and a stack of maintenance reports in the other. At 32, he'd grown accustomed to the double shifts, single father by day, night janitor by necessity. But nothing could have prepared him for what waited behind the frosted glass door marked, Private, Executive Suite. He knocked twice. Silence. The CEO's assistant had mentioned Ms. Victoria Hartwell would be working late, preparing for tomorrow's shareholder meeting. Marcus had explicit instructions to replace the air filters in her office before midnight. He knocked again, louder this time, then slowly pushed the door open. What he saw made him freeze. Victoria Hartwell, the formidable CEO whose face graced Forbes covers and business journals, stood before the floor-length mirror in nothing but a hospital gown, her back to him. But it wasn't the state of undress that stopped his heart, it was the constellation of scars mapping her spine, the raw surgical incisions barely healed, and the way her shoulders shook with silent tears. "I'm so sorry, I didn't," Marcus stammered, averting his eyes immediately. Victoria spun around, clutching her blouse to her chest, her face pale as winter frost. For a moment, neither breathed. Then, in a voice so broken it seemed to come from someone else entirely, she whispered, "Please, don't tell anyone. They can't know I'm dying." The words hung in the air like shattered glass. Marcus should have left, should have apologized again and backed out quietly, pretending he'd seen nothing, heard nothing. Instead, something in her eyes, a desperate, drowning look he recognized from his own mirror during the worst days after his wife's death, rooted him to the spot. "I won't," he said simply. Then, setting down his supplies, he added, "But you shouldn't be alone right now." Victoria's carefully constructed armor cracked. She sank into her leather chair, still clutching the blouse, tears streaming freely now. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 6 months, maybe 8. The board can't know. The company's about to close the biggest merger in our history. 15,000 jobs depend on this deal. If the shareholders find out the CEO is terminally ill. Her voice trailed off, but Marcus understood. He'd watched his wife fight her own losing battle with leukemia. He knew the weight of keeping secrets to protect the people you loved. "My daughter," Victoria continued, her voice barely audible, "she's 7. The same age I was when I lost my mother. I swore I'd never do that to a child, never leave them the way I was left. And now," a sob escaped her throat. "Now I'm breaking that promise." Marcus found himself moving closer, his janitor's cart forgotten by the door. "Where is she now?" "Your daughter. With nannies. Always with nannies. I've been so focused on building this company, on being strong, on proving I could do it all." Victoria looked up at him, mascara streaking her cheeks. "I've already lost so much time with her. And now time is the one thing I can't buy." Something shifted in that moment. Marcus thought of his own daughter, Emma, waiting at home with his sister. He thought of all the moments he'd almost missed while working 3 jobs after his wife died. The first day of kindergarten, the lost tooth, the nightmare that needed a father's comfort at 3 a.m. He'd been lucky enough to wake up, to realize that being present mattered more than being perfect. "What's her name?" he asked gently. "Lily. Ms. Hartwell." "Victoria," she interrupted. "If you're going to be the only person who knows I'm falling apart, you should probably use my first name." Over the following weeks, an unlikely friendship bloomed in the spaces between midnight and dawn. Marcus would arrive for his janitorial shift to find Victoria still in her office, and instead of cleaning, he'd listen. She told him about Lily's love for astronomy, about her own regrets, about the weight of running a company while dying inside. In return, Marcus shared his own story, the grief, the struggle, the small victories of single parenthood. "You know what Emma taught me?" Marcus said one night, organizing files while Victoria worked. "That kids don't need perfect. They need present. They don't remember the fancy toys or the big house. They remember the person who showed up, who listened, who made them feel seen." Victoria's hand stilled on her keyboard. "I don't know how to do that. I've spent 20 years building walls, Marcus. I don't know how to let them down." "Start small," he suggested. "Tomorrow, leave work an hour early. Have dinner with Lily. Ask her about her day. Really ask." She did. And then she did it again. And again. As Victoria's health declined, Marcus found himself becoming more than a confidant, he became a bridge between her two worlds. When chemotherapy left her too weak to attend Lily's school play, Marcus recorded it on his phone, sitting next to Emma in the audience. When pain made it impossible to read bedtime stories, he taught Victoria how to record them in advance, her voice a gift Lily could keep forever. But the corporate world showed no mercy. 3 months before the merger's completion, a board member grew suspicious. Victoria's frequent absences, her gaunt appearance, the way she'd delegated more responsibilities, rumors began to circulate. "They're calling for a vote of no confidence," Victoria told Marcus one evening, her voice hollow. "They want me to step down." "Then tell them the truth," Marcus said. "I can't. The merger will happen with or without you," he interrupted gently. "But Lily only has one mother. And she deserves to have every moment with you that's left. Not the CEO version. The real you." The decision wasn't easy. But the following Monday, Victoria Hartwell stood before her board of directors and told them everything. The cancer. The prognosis. The reason she'd been fighting so hard to see the merger through, to secure the company's future so she could spend her remaining time securing her daughters. The room fell silent. Then, unexpectedly, the oldest board member spoke. "My wife fought cancer for 3 years. I worked through most of it, thinking I was providing for our family. She died while I was in a meeting in Tokyo. I never forgave myself." He looked directly at Victoria. "Step down. Be with your daughter. We'll handle the merger." The mercy came from an unexpected place. The very institution she'd feared would reject her showed humanity instead. Victoria's last 6 months weren't spent in boardrooms but in blanket forts with Lily, watching stars through a telescope Marcus helped her buy, baking cookies that usually burned because laughter kept distracting them from timers. Marcus and Emma became fixtures in their lives, two broken families creating something whole together. When the end came, it was gentle. Victoria passed away on a Sunday morning with Lily asleep beside her, clutching her mother's hand. The company she'd built thrived. The merger succeeded. 15,000 jobs were saved. But her real legacy was in the videos she'd left behind, in the memories she'd created, in the love she'd finally allowed herself to both give and receive. At the funeral, Marcus stood beside Lily, who clutched a letter her mother had written for him. Through tears, he read, "You walked in on me at my most broken and chose kindness. That choice gave me the courage to live my last months instead of just surviving them. Thank you for showing me that strength isn't about standing alone. It's about letting others help you stand. Please watch over Lily. Tell her about the stars." 2 years later, Marcus adopted Lily. She and Emma became sisters in everything but blood. And on clear nights, they'd all pile into the backyard with Victoria's telescope, searching the sky for answers, finding instead the comfort of being together. Sometimes the greatest acts of love are the simplest. A janitor choosing compassion over convenience. A CEO choosing presence over pride. Two strangers choosing to see each other's humanity when the world demanded they remain invisible. In the end, Victoria's life sentence wasn't her diagnosis. It was the legacy of love she left behind, written in the stars, lived in the laughter of two girls who learned that family isn't just who you're born to, but who chooses to stay.